I designed Project IGOR for my own needs and later released for free. It has already helped me and a bunch of others. If you want to get more things done, perhaps something like this project might help you. Here's how it started. Good design is deliberate. These digital rectangles, our monitor, our phone, our tablets, have become these wonderful everything machines. Infinite options, colors, possibilities, sounds. But eventually, with endless possibilities, come endless distractions, and the everything machine contorts itself into a nothing machine, endlessly draining us. That feels like a trap, doesn't it? Despite progress, the target seems further away, almost forever out of reach. But it's not. Progress is progress, and it will pay off as long as you keep walking. But how can you keep walking straight when the journey is so long and often thankless, and the noise is so loud? This is precisely the problem I set out to fix for myself. I wanted something to focus me on the present, remind me I'm making real progress, and subtly encourage me to keep going. Perhaps just one more minute, maybe two. Of course, I could have just turned to yet another app that looks good, but in a few days will start asking me to buy its subscription during this unbelievable sale, show me some more ads, pull me in a few more directions. Forgive me, I had to turn away from that. As I said, these everything machines are part of my problem, and I wanted to carve out, take something away from them and protect it. I wanted to create a one thing machine, something separate, something small, quiet, tactile, fun. For this specific, deliberate use case, I keep coming back to tracking time in a distinctive and cheerful way that I can customize to be nothing more and nothing less than I require. I call this Project IGOR, the assistant who is not artificially intelligent but rather naturally dumb. So I got to work. Given my requirements, I kept it as simple as possible. Only 3 components: a simple microcontroller, the brains, a display, the output, and a rotary encoder, the input. I set on the D1 Mini because it's super cheap and common, can be easily programmed via the Arduino IDE, is powered via USB-C, and has connectivity options that may prove interesting to explore further down the line. This also has the benefit of playing well with the OLED. It's also cheap and common and really power efficient, super sharp, and has these 2 colors available, which I think adds some fun to the build. Finally, I found this rotary encoder to complete the set. If you don't know already, a rotary encoder allows you to capture rotation, direction, and a click, which is perfect for this. These are the minimum building blocks, which you can get for yourself for less than $10, link in the description. Once I had the components in my hand, I wired up the first prototype, and it seemed really encouraging. So off I went to design the appearance around the internals. Since I wanted something simple and intentional, I took my design cues from the Bauhaus school of design and functionalist industrial design philosophy. Less is more. Form follows function. Intuitive, intentional integration of form and technology. All were going through my head as I pushed through to a version 1. I kept some modularity to minimize waste during prototyping and allow me to orient the pieces correctly for printing. I kept the design lines as simple and elegant as possible, but I also wanted something fun. So I added some hats to the ecosystem, just to make things more interesting. Yeah, you heard me, hats. I think it's good to add a bit more personality to our tools. Being able to hot swap different hats might also help to keep things fresh. You might not respond to the authority of the top hat, Igor, or the coldness of the plain hat, Igor, but you might yield to the adventurous allure of, I don't know, the Indiana Jones Igor. The sky is the limit. The screen was very difficult to get right in the design because I really didn't want the bezels to show. But after a few tries, I had a version that I was happy with. Once printing was complete, I tried to cram everything in using the jump wires, but no luck. I had to solder, even though I'm really bad at it and thus really dislike it. It wasn't too bad since there are not too many wires to connect, but still it was a bit of a pain. I set my sights on working out the firmware next. I started by laying out what the user journey could be. This was very useful, and I recommend you do this as well if you can. It's a lot easier to create and update the wireframe before you start architecting the code itself. This way you can really visualize and quickly tweak all of the screen transitions, user clicks and turns, all the functionality, all the logic. It was at this stage that I got the idea of different modes connected via menu. This may seem obvious, but it wasn't at first. At the very least, I wanted a tally to be displayed of my flow minutes, options to count up and count down, an in-session counter, and something I thought would be really useful, a nudge to call out prolonged idleness outside of focus. I'll show you how this works in a minute. This is where iterative cycles come in force. As soon as you start writing code, you realize the many gaps you have even with the base requirements or wireframes. For example, what should happen if someone presses the button while the countdown is ongoing? Is it a pause? Is it a cancel? How do you reset the flow minutes? Should it be at the stroke of midnight or by user input? A lot of design considerations went into this, some up front, others as I started working with Igor itself. This is what the core functionality looks like today. It's my privilege to introduce Igor, your simple, distraction-free assistant to keep you focused on getting more things done, minute by minute, day by day, session by session. It represents a movement against immediate gratification, constant connectivity, noise, AI. It's a simple, perhaps symbolic step towards intentional, minimalist, sustained, fully conscious action. This is my configuration, and it's been helping me loads. The interface is simple and easy to understand. At the top stands your flow counter, which proudly displays the minutes you've invested in focused work. The menu options below cycle with the encoder. There are only 3 options: start an open-ended session of focus, start a time-boxed interval, or reset the current total. When a session ends, either by your action or because the time box has naturally come to its completion, a simple success animation releases a moderate amount of dopamine and the flow minutes tally goes up. When you find yourself outside of a focus session for a prolonged period of time, Igor will gently ask you if you're idle. Who knows, perhaps you're actually focusing and you should celebrate those minutes together with the rest. Simple, silent, unobtrusive, purpose-built. I have to say, it's great to see the minutes go up over the day. Originally, I was thinking I might need to store the numbers, take note of the trend, all sorts of complicated ideas. But the truth is, your mind takes note of the data subconsciously and jumps positively and effortlessly, I found, towards ever-increasing numbers. It's a light, simple, joyful little game. And if this sounds interesting to you, good news, you can get involved, customize it to your heart content. It's really accessible and simple, so why not give it a go? Level 1 involvement. This is super easy. I documented and open sourced the whole thing for free. No strings attached. You can grab yourself the components if you don't have them already. You can use the links in the description, which will only cost you around $10. Follow my detailed instructions and download the free CAD files to make your own Igor. Then you can flash the software, which I also have made for free. Within a couple of hours, you can have your own Igor, but perhaps you want more. At level 2 involvement, you can design your own hats. This is very easy. You can do this in Tinkercad, for example, as the geometry is very simple, but there is more. And this last level is exciting. At level 3, and I hope at least some of you will do this, I invite you to really get stuck in and customize your experience. It's very easy. The firmware is built so that you can dig in, tweak everything. You want to add your own animations or specific modes to the menu? Excellent. I showed the code in its entirety and someone already made some cool credits-based mod. You want to re-engineer the whole thing? Leverage the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth module and send API calls with the amount of time you stored, or link this to an NTP server? Be my guest. All I ask, if you can, is to share what you come up with. The more the platform grows, the more we all learn from each other. This has been a blast for me to design and develop over the last few months and eventually share with the community. I get a lot of joy from just seeing people find use in the ideas and projects I come up with. My plan is to release videos here featuring new original quests every couple of weeks. If you found this useful, fun or interesting, please subscribe, like and comment. I'm really trying to grow the channel and give back to the community of makers. Your support is essential.